Hey guys, it's Jay Elizabeth, and I'm here with Winter the doula. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, so my name is Winter. I am a person, I'm a nurse, I'm a doula, I am a mom of three people, and one is a preemie. I, I'm a traveling nurse, I'm a postpartum and birth doula, and I'm also a death doula.
What is a death doula for those that don't know, including myself?
Okay, so it's just a trained professional who provides emotional and informational support to you during your time of need. So while this person is passing away, you and this person both need emotional support, I'm sure, as well as um, it's not too hands on, so it's not essential. It's not a caregiver.
Mm.
However, it's just a person who's there to assist you and your family in that time.
Is that kind of like hospice?
Yes, on a different level, on a more personal level, I would say, because hospice is um, almost institutionalized. In some cases, they do come to your house, I think, but mostly it's institutionalized, which puts limits on what they can and cannot do, or in ways they can and cannot support. I'm also a medium and a doula, so some people need a little bit of extra assistance crossing over after they do pass, and I provide help with that as well. So
Okay, well, that is cool. Thank you for that explanation. Let's backtrack to you saying that you have a preemie and that you are actually a birth doula and a traveling nurse. Do you travel for your doula services as well?
Yes, definitely, it's possible. However, because of COVID and me staying away because of the preemie, I'm a nurse. However, with COVID, when COVID struck, my youngest, he was born at 25 weeks. So I decided that it would be most beneficial that if I did continue to work, I would work outside of the home. So I wouldn't get him or my other children sick, also my other family. So because of that, I've been travel nursing just during COVID, and yeah, the birth and postpartum doula, I will be getting into that full time in about a month or so.
Oh, nice.
Um,
And how can they
yeah.
reach you? Like on what social media platforms?
Okay, so I have an Instagram, I have Facebook. So Winter RX, like medicine, underscore for Instagram. Winter Williams for Facebook. I have two of them, and
And
my website is linked on my Facebook and Instagram.
I'll put all that in the description below after we get off the recording. When you hand that to me. So let us know about the preemie. Like, what was that journey like?
Oh wow! So it's funny because I've been a nurse for a few years, three. When I had my little baby, I was at work. Well, I wasn't at work when I had him. Let me backtrack. I I with this pregnancy, my last pregnancy, I had a doula, and she saved my life. I swear. So um I was at work. It was a midnight shift, an overnight shift. So about 5 a.m. I stood up just to start getting my supplies ready, and something just I was like, mm. What was that? My water never broke with my other two children, so I didn't know that it was my water. However, my panties are wet. I'm just like, I go out to my CNAs. I'm like, can you feel when you have discharge? Like, what the hell was that? Um, they're like, huh? I'm like, you know what? Nothing. I text my doula. She's like, you need to go to the hospital now. Me just being a nurse, other nurses can probably relate. Like, I just felt a duty to my patients. I can't leave until the next nurse gets in to count me out. I know it was other ways I could have went, but I didn't leave work until my shift was over, which was 2 hours later.
Mm.
Um, I dropped my kids off at school. I went to my husband and we went to the hospital. When I got to children's, they kind of didn't say anything. They were supposed to be doing a litmus test, and that's to see if you're actually leaking amniotic fluid. Um, the paper, initially they said it didn't turn blue, but then they double backed and said it did. However, my doula didn't get to the hospital before they discharged me, and I still didn't understand what was wrong with this. I don't know why, but at this point, I was not thinking as a nurse. I was thinking as a pregnant woman who's 25 weeks pregnant and my water just possibly broke. Okay, so um, for the rest of the day, I kind of went on about my day. I have a very high pain tolerance. So I I was in the car for a while. I got up and I noticed that my butt was wet, or my bottom rather was wet, and I was just like, wow, so am I still leaking fluid? Then I call my regular doctor and I get an appointment for the next morning. I go in, um, and she checks the heartbeat and she looks concerned. She asked me if I had a miscarriage before. They've been my OBs for a while, since 2010.
Mm.
So she knew I had a miscarriage at 6 months. One day, like, I went to the appointment, the baby just didn't have a heartbeat. Now I asked her, yeah, but what does that have to do with right now? And I'm in the hospital, and this is why I'm here, honey.
Right. Let me know.
Um, yeah, so she goes to also test the litmus paper. It comes back blue. She calls the doctor over her, and they tell her, just send me home. There's nothing they can do. I
Wait,
am
does it
in,
turn and mean again? That is amniotic fluid?
yes, that is indeed amniotic fluid. Right. Now, I can't explain it because in hindsight, to me, my actions didn't even make sense. Um, I should have pushed for her to do an ultrasound. I should have pushed for her to do for her. I did push for her to admit me though. I
Mm-hmm.
asked her multiple times. I even told her, like, I was in tears before I left the appointment because I'm just like, ma'am, I am having contractions every 3 to 5 minutes. I have babies very fast, and like, y'all not taking me seriously. But in the same breath, y'all, I'm about to have a baby. And I'm only 25 weeks pregnant. This is concerning to me, and I don't know why you guys aren't as concerned as me.
Right.
Um, she says there's nothing they can do, so she sends me home, and that's about 15 minutes away from the hospital. I go home. I take some sleeping medicines that were prescribed to me during the pregnancy. I also took some Tylenol because I'm in pain. Um, Now, I lay down for like 20 minutes. I'm like, babe, no, like, we gotta go. Something's wrong. So I get in the car. He's touching me. I'm like, please don't touch me. Like, I cussed and everything. I'm like, please do not touch me. Like, I don't know. I love you bad. Don't
Did
touch me.
you contact the doula again?
I was in contact with her throughout the process. However, just because everything was going super fast, like, the appointment was super fast. Everything happened very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I was in contact with her, she was unable to make it until after I had the baby. And this
Mm-hmm.
was pre-COVID, so it wasn't all the rules where only one person could be in and things like that. It just was happening very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So um what happened? I'm in the car, his brother is driving us. His brother is like, she is having that baby. Like, she's little did I know what I know now. I was in the ring of fire, and that's when you're 10 centimeters dilated. The baby is down low. Okay, he is 2 seconds away from busting out. Okay, um, I get to the hospital, y'all. I'm trying to take my clothes off. I don't like things touching me when I'm in pain. I'm trying to take my clothes off in the lobby, like. She's like, do you have any ID? Do you have your insurance card? I'm like, girl, I was just in here earlier. I've been coming to y'all for 10 years. I know y'all have my information. Please get me somewhere to somebody. Um, so now it just happened so fast. Now I'm in this room, I'm on the bed. It's 10 people all over me because they discovered that I am indeed 10 centimeters dilated.
Did
Let
they
me add that. Huh?
did they tell you that?
Yes.
Okay.
They checked and they realized that very fast because
You
um
didn't check?
I was about to say I was 1 centimeter dilated the day before, and
Mm-hmm.
this day when I went to my OBGYN, I was 2 centimeters dilated. And I tried to even explain to her, like, this is not normal. I don't know people who are 25 weeks pregnant who dilate to 2 centimeters, whose water is leaking, who you don't admit to the hospital. Um, I just don't understand this. So I'm in the room, they're checking me. It's 10 providers in there because they realize that they messed up.
Right.
They're looking for a baby. I don't know if you're familiar with like the circles that they put on your belly to continuously monitor the baby.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so they were looking for the baby's heartbeat, but they couldn't find him. Now
Because he was
the
popping.
baby was in my birth canal, and his head was most likely sticking out because I
He was.
felt, yeah, I felt the things that you feel when you're unmedicated and you're going through childbirth. Now, unmedicated childbirth does not have to hurt. This one was
Right.
just very uncomfortable, and it's only because it was so chaotic. So they kicked my husband out. They they told me that they would have to do emergency C-section. I was hyperventilating, so I wasn't breathing properly. They were telling me like, you gotta breathe, you gotta do this because you're gonna pass out. I told them like the baby was breech, so they're like, okay, we're gonna rush you into a emergency C-section. In hindsight, for one, breech babies do not need a C-section, and two, I did not need a C-section with a 1 pound baby, even breech or not. Especially when realistically, the baby was already coming out of me before they decided to go ahead with the C-section, which I feel like was unnecessary. Um, but so I had the baby, and he was born 1 pound 8 ounces. He is fine now, thank God. But it was like just a rocky ride.
Mm-hmm. Is that what like inspired you to become a doula?
That is directly what inspired me. Well, no, I was inspired to be a doula when it had been like 3 or 4 days after I had the baby. They discharged me after 2 days, and I had to readmit myself because um, I wasn't okay. Like, I don't know. I guess they noticed that I was trying to do stuff for myself, and they figured I was ready to go home. But I mean, I was just trying to make the most of it because I have 2 children at home. I have one now in the hospital. Um, I need to be self sufficient in some ways. However, I was in no way ready to go home.
Yeah.
Um, After 4 days, I was just like, guys, I called my OB. I'm like, expecting some help from like our medical system almost. I'm just like, guys, like mentally, I am not okay. Like, this is really taking a toll on me. Um, and like, I need some type of help. I don't know what type of help I need, but I know I need some help. So, with that, they referred me to the social worker. Um, and when I talked to her, she was a black woman. She was a little older. She was maybe in her 40s, and I was explaining. She asked me what happened. I was explaining it to her. Um, she told me like that exact thing happened, like a very similar. She had a very similar experience with her twins, and that broke my heart. I thought it was me. I thought I was like the sacrificial lamb, and I was like okay with it. I'm like, as long as y'all, I know.
Girl, what?
I'm like, as long as y'all don't do this to nobody else, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because that was just a very traumatizing experience. Like, um, that gave me PTSD. Like, it just was not a good. It was bad, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
as long as it only happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she told me that she had that similar experience. I posted my experience on Facebook because a lot of people were asking me a lot, and I didn't want to respond to everyone one by one. So I made like in my notes, I typed up what happened as best as I could, and I posted it on Facebook. And again, way too many people were sharing it and were relating or were commenting and relating. And I'm just like, no one should be able to relate to this.
Right.
This, if this is gonna be a mistake, it should be a one-time thing. It should not be like a continuous, and it's a pattern almost because um, I told people for 2 days that I was in labor. I told them that I'm a nurse. I'm not just a regular person, and I was treated bad, honestly. Throughout most of this experience in the first hospital I went to, as well as at the second hospital, even for just my OB care, and then later after I had the baby, they um they wanted to drug test me because
What?
I had the baby so early. I was so offended and caught off guard. And please understand that I was still under heavy medicine from the C-section, that honestly, I don't know if it's legal to even ask for a drug test that early. I could not, if I was someone else, I would not have been able to properly consent.
I have a question.
Um, mhm.
So if your doula would have made it in time, like would they be able to like step in like as a proxy, or like would your if your husband knew what doulas know, if there's something that they know like that specific, like would they be able to like assist you and like come
She could
into
have She
C-section?
could have yes, she could have reminded me of my knowledge. First of all, knowledge that I have without her because I'm a medical professional. But she also, I just feel like she couldn't have spoke for me. I will say that. I cannot speak as a doula, I cannot speak for my patients, but I can remind them of what they do know. I can remind them that they have the right to a spontaneous labor. They have a right to not be coerced into a C-section. Emergent, not emergent or not. Let me be clear. But again, if I was thinking clearly and I wasn't in labor, 10 centimeters dilated and a lot of pain just because I it was a lot going on, so I wasn't able to breathe properly. I wasn't able to use the things that I knew because I wasn't able to properly ground myself in the moment.
Mm,
Um, but there's just things that I would have changed, or that even she could have helped me remember in the time. The first hospital never should have discharged me.
right.
And I don't know, but I don't know if other people feel this way, but I feel like doctors are bullies a little bit. And sometimes even nurses, any medical professional who is in, like, when you're a patient, it's kind of like do what they say. They know what they're talking about, and that's why you came to them, right? So when they told me I could leave, I was like, well, okay, you're a nurse. You're not just a person off the street. You checked into the situation, right?
Right.
You I expressed my concerns, and you know, handled them, right. And obviously they didn't, but to go back and forth with people when you're in a vulnerable position is not as easy as it sounds. So she could have helped in a lot of ways, and I don't take anything from her, like, but having a doula in that experience could have changed just a few different pieces of it.
So for doulas, is it normal to be in the hospital setting with their person, or is it normal to be like at home?
So most doulas, I as a doula, or doulas that I know of, it is normal for us to. I have a package where I can come to at least one appointment with you, if that would make you comfortable. But most times I meet you in a home setting, because the things that we work on and we go over in the education that I provide to you and your partner are it's just meant to do in a more personal environment than a
Mhm.
hospital. Just because they're talking to you about the baby's health and things like that, like they're giving you, they're checking on you and the heartbeat and stuff and the baby. But my focus is the mom
And what do you
for
like
life.
provide for the mom?
Um, Emotional information and support. Well, emotional support and informational support. So I'll be there just as a sounding board. The first things, after me and a client choose each other, the first things we do is we bring together a birth vision, and some people call it a birth plan. However, um, after my experience, I've learned a lot about birth trauma, and because of that, I don't like the term birth plan, because moms are very easy to. They're like brides, so
Mhm.
if you give them the idea of that this plan is the way that it is, the way that it's supposed to be. Mom wants to birth um, in in water,
Mhm.
and she wants these other things. However, the day comes, things are moving fast, and some things have to change. I want to prepare my moms to be expecting that to be a possible factor. And best case scenario, we do everything you want. Um, you go to the hospital at 4 centimeters dilated.
Mhm.
You tell them that you don't want to be checked frequently. You tell them that you want to progress naturally. You tell them
Oh,
that you don't want pitocin. You tell them what you do want. You know, it's literally just a written plan of what you want in labor, so that when we get to the day, it's not going too fast and nobody can remember what you actually want, because you are the focus. And I
Right.
think that gets lost.
But like, is there something specific that she's done? Like, so when people talk about getting pulled over by the police, they like know your rights. Is there like something like that in a hospital setting, or like even in like a birthing setting?
Typically, no. However, I offer, and I know another doula, the Sacred Birth, the Sacred, my Sacred Black Doula, I believe her name is. We both offer know your rights packages for birth. So that just will very clearly explain to yourself, your hospital. It's for personal knowledge, as well as doulas to have it, as well as hospitals. You provide that to your hospital. There's like no questions asked, because they clearly know what you want and what you don't want. Um, a lot of things people don't know, that like delayed cord clamping is your right. So when you try to do that, or like a lotus birth, you'll get like a lot of pushback from the hospital or the facility where you choose to birth.
What's up?
However, okay, so a lotus birth is when you have the baby. After you have the baby, you birth the placenta,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, so
Normal.
most people cut the cord. Um, However, some people don't cut the cord at all. They leave the placenta attached to baby. Um, they use herbs, and they might carry it in a basin to dry out the placenta. And they wait until the placenta falls off naturally, which takes about 3 days.
I didn't know that could happen.
Yeah. See, and but you have to, you have to be educated, because when you try to take your placenta home, the hospital will tell you like, "Oh no, that's illegal." Um, yeah, they'll fight you for something that came out of you. And it's very interesting, once you find out like all the things that they're into, because it's just now placentas are good for hospitals. They take the stem cell blood, and they harvest it. Not for your child, if your child gets sick, because stem cell blood is healing
Mhm.
for kids. Some people have more babies just to have stem cell blood. If their child gets sick with certain illnesses, stem cell
Mhm.
blood can help them. So they they store it and they sell it, but it's not for you. It's for the highest bidder kind of thing. So
Interesting. Very
yes.
interesting.
You also have the right to labor in the way that works best for you. So you can labor squatting, you can labor sitting. I mean, not sitting, sitting is crazy, but standing. You
That is.
imagine Jimmy, like, okay. But you also can labor without a face mask. And this is COVID-19. So a lot of people, a lot of doctors, or a lot of hospitals are implementing rules that are not, that go against your rights almost. You are allowed to have at least one support person in the room with you. That is your right, like a federal right for women. And hospitals, if you don't know enough, they can tell you anything.
That's true. Just like anybody. That's true.
Just like you said, just like police, like if they pull you over and people don't know like their full rights to that, it's the more you know, like literally could save a life.
So, is are doula services like for free?
No. Um Doulas can be, I don't know. It really depends on your area, and I think your demographic and things like that. But doulas prices range. I think my package was $1,400.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that I got from my doula. And doula and packages just range on how much support you want and how little. There's a package for everyone, I believe. Um, and sometimes they are possibly pricey. I know some states insurance will pay for it. Very few states though. in New York State, I know they had a pilot program a few years ago, but literally that's just because doulas are actually very important and necessary. I think Black women die 243% more than other demographics during childbirth, and no one should die during childbirth.
I agree.
It shouldn't be a dangerous sport.
I agree. So what's one thing that you like, some advice that you would give to anybody that's pregnant right now and kind of looking for a doula? Like if they were to find some sort of um, list of doulas and they chose one, what question should they ask that doula?
Um, okay, so I think it's person by person. It definitely depends on what's important to that specific mom.
I feel like
Um,
I wouldn't know what's important though, if I'm honest.
yeah,
Like I feel
okay.
like I would not know. Like what would be important
So,
to you? Like if I were to choose you, what would you offer me?
okay, so what I can offer is, virtual or in person support. It would depend on if this person really wants someone who is vaccinated or not, or if this person really wants someone who has even medical knowledge or not, because all doulas aren't medical professionals and all medical professionals aren't doulas or midwives even. So um, I think it would matter how many families I've taken care of. That could be a important question. Um, you might want to know my helping style or the
Mm-hmm.
way that if you would come to my house, or maybe you would prefer me to have a brick and mortar so you can come to my building and we can do our exercises and we can speak there. Um, Now, I do believe that you should interview a doula and a doula will interview you back, kind of. So it's just bouncing off each other. You find out what the mom wants in her birth, what she expects.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know any doula who would take on a client um, whose views were very different because I have to make sure I can help you in the best way possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Um, so some women, some people don't like vaccines, and that's fine. But if your doula is not educated properly on why the vaccines are unnecessary at birth, then you guys may have like a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
a tip, like it just won't make sense.
That makes
You should
sense.
find someone with aligned views. So
That makes sense. So you can talk about it and get the real information, get all the facts and things like
exactly. Some
that. Does that
moms don't want to
mean,
birth in a hmm?
go ahead.
Some moms don't want to birth in a hospital setting. They would prefer to birth at home or in a birthing center. You would have to make sure your provider, your doula, was is comfortable with that. So
Does that
stuff like that.
send us off with any information or any like advice that you would send us off with?
Mm. Doulas are invaluably valuable. So um, I would recommend any pregnant woman, even if you just get one session with a doula, any doula. Um, I think it's really helpful. I don't think this is definitely not a race thing, but I don't think African American women were properly taught the benefits of breastfeeding. I think that is changing. However, I think for a long time, um, there was a stigma placed on it, and it's been very hard to get away from that. And um, obviously, like that's not the only thing a doula will do, but I think more Black women should breastfeed as well.
That's
I
important.
think other people are doing a very good job at doing it already, or educating their communities, and I just want our community to be a little bit more educated on breastfeeding.
Are you ever gonna start like a YouTube or info specifically for this?
So I am starting my YouTube soon. I have a video on YouTube, but I'm making more, and the videos will be about. I'm gonna make a video on YouTube explaining your birthrights in depth.
Mm-hmm.
In depth. I'm going to make a video explaining my travel nursing lifestyle, how I deal with being away from the kids, how the kids deal with being away from me,
How you
what
making
it's
all
been like.
me?
Oh, making what?
Money, girl. Money.
I will not confirm or deny because the doctors is being nice. But Um, but yes, how it has helped me, how I've gotten myself out of debt, just how COVID was not a good thing, but I have made the most of this situation. So,
Like we all should do.
like we all should do. I think this is a great time to start a business or to really like figure yourself out, get
Figure
into what you
yourself
want.
out. And if you need help
Yeah.
with that, I do have a self course that you can find at my website at jelizabeth.com.
Actually, I took the self course and I loved it. When I say it helped me so much, so being on the road, I do have a lot of solitude. I
Yeah.
am alone by myself, and um, I think one of my best investments so far has been your self program. It just really helped me out a lot.
Man,
Learning myself, figuring out how to navigate me, things like that. Like, and I think it's taken for granted how much
yes,
we have such easy access to escape from ourselves.
yes. So,
And
please.
if you have to escape from yourself, that means you need to fortify something. And you
You're
need to
not whole.
become whole again with you. Yeah.
Mhm.
So thank you for making that self program. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for becoming a doula and helping out the community and becoming easier and birthing in a more safe and secure way, especially with the birth vision versus birth plan. I think that's like phenomenal, if I'm honest. So I hope your videos come out soon, and as soon as this is posted, I want you to write in the comments, like your favorite doulas that you've come in contact with and any resources that you have, and of course your YouTube channel.
Okay, perfect. I will.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you for having me.
Of course, of course, of course. Of course, I was going to have you. But I just want to say thank you to my audience for watching, and I hope you received information, a lot of good information from this in value. If you have, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments below too, because I forgot to say this in the beginning, but she's my sister.
We are sisters, in case you
We are
guys
sisters.
noticed the resemblance. I said that's so silly, but
You
she
did.
looks like me.
I'm older. But
Like
anyway,
2 seconds, guys, we're twins.
thank you guys